Welcome everyone to the HealthyU podcast. I am your host, Dawn Funk, coming to you down here from the Panhandle of Florida. And as always, it is a huge privilege and an honor to spend some time with you. And as you guys know by now, if you've been listening, my heart is about helping you take ownership of your health. And, I just believe that there are a lot of perspectives out there. And sometimes, we might be told one thing and yet we're not getting better. And so I think it makes sense that we, just listen to some other perspectives, because there are lots of other people out there, like you're going to hear from today, who have amazing wisdom and incredible experience. And so today, our topic is called Blissful Belly. I've got Prajakta on here, who is a gut health expert. And man, I've already been chatting with her before we started today. She's got so much great information that she's going to share. And I was telling her, I know that this is a topic or condition, I guess I should say, that a lot of people struggle with, and myself included. So, I was sharing with her, as I've told you guys before too, about my struggle with breast implant illness, and then which led to realizing I had all this mercury amalgams in my mouth, and have been dealing with health issues for several years. Have mold issues, heavy metals, you name it. And so I've lived it, and I'm just really excited myself, selfishly, to hear from her today, just as I continue on my healing journey. But before we dive into all the meat and potatoes, I just want you guys to get to know Prajakta, Prajakta Apte. I hope I said your last name right, and she's going to correct me here in a second. But let me just read her bio, and then I want you guys to just hear from her, just sharing a little bit about herself. So she is a registered dietitian, and she's got a nutrition counseling practice. She's been working in the field for 20 years, and she helps people who are struggling with gut issues resolve their problems through the healing power of nutrition, so that they can have vibrant energy. So guys, I know this is going to be exciting today. So Prajakta, please go ahead and just introduce yourself.
Dawn, this is Prajakta, and I am joining you from Phoenix, Arizona. Thank you so much for having me here as your guest. I am super excited to share what I have learned through my experience with your audience, and I hope all of you will enjoy it. So I've been in field of nutrition, as you already mentioned, for over 20 years, and I started my practice as a registered dietitian, and then kind of, created my niche for last over almost 10 years, you can say. I have been exclusively helping people who are struggling with gut issues. And there is a little story behind it. But before we jump into that, I would like to say that I just love what I do. I'm very passionate about my work, and I strongly believe that food is a medicine. And if you eat the right type of food, then it is definitely going to heal you. But if you make wrong food choices, it's going to hurt your body. So everybody, I feel that we all need to learn to listen to our bodies, because our bodies are constantly talking to us. And once we can listen to our body, we can prevent us from getting into maybe serious conditions in future. So here we go. And I am going to share my story of how I started with gut health, being a gut health expert or a dietitian. So I would say a few years back, my husband was struggling with a lot of gut issues, and it was very hard to figure out initially that what was going wrong with him. And we tried different home remedies, and we went to many different doctors, ran different tests, and everything was coming back normal. And everyone was saying, there's nothing wrong with you. You're healthy. You are young. You just need to, keep doing what you are doing. And somewhere he knew that something is wrong with him. I was able to see that he's not behaving normal. He is frustrated. He is in pain, and he doesn't know what to do. So that's how actually my journey started with gut healing. And I started getting more information, reading through a lot more research studies, talking to another healthcare professionals, taking some classes and courses from the functional medicine doctors just to learn a little bit more about it. And we were able to figure things out slowly, one step at a time. But we realized that he was dealing with a lot of food sensitivities. He was, his thyroid was becoming sluggish, but not quite to the point where he had a diagnosis of hypothyroidism, but he had a lot of inflammation in his body. And one step at a time, we were able to identify what those food sensitivities are. We removed all the bad foods, all of his other stressors from his life. And eventually, a few months down the road, he completely healed. He is doing fine now. He understands what works for him, what doesn't work for him. So I'm really happy that, of course, he put in the hard work. I was there to help him, support him, and guide him. But together as a team, we definitely conquered with what he was dealing with. So I'm really happy for all of this. And that actually made me get more and more details into the gut healing. And I thought, this is it. This is what I want to do. And more you start looking into it, you realize that there are so many people out there who are struggling, and many even start to think that this is normal for them, and this is how the life will be moving forward. But I think that this is not what you should suffer from. This is not worth it. Your life needs to be really happy, and you should be able to do everything. And if you are healthy, if your gut is healthy, I think that it is possible for you to enjoy your life.
I love that. And thank you so much for just sharing your personal story. And I'm so glad to hear that your husband is doing so much better and healed. And and that, again, that's very similar to my story, and just that I knew something was wrong. My husband could tell something was wrong, but yet all the tests, all the doctors said, you're good, you're healthy. And that's where it's really frustrating, when you hear the doctors telling you that there's nothing wrong, but your own body. And it's like, you said, I mean, you have a choice to make: put in the work, do some research, or you can just say, this is going to be my life. And I wasn't willing to do that. And, so I'm so glad that, that you are here today to just share that testimony. And then just to, like I said, equip all of us with some of the things that have helped him and helped you and your clients. So I know before we start with your questions, I know you had wanted to just give us some background, because we're talking about the gut and the gut biome. And I know that can sound like a fancy word. I used to be a 7th grade science teacher back in the day, so we would talk about biomes. But but let's just educate the listeners today just a little bit about the gut biome. And then you're going to kind of move into, how does a person even know that they have poor digestive health? So what are some of the signs of that?
Sure. So the term gut microbiome, and some of you must have already heard about it, and some people might be thinking, what is this? I have never heard about it. But I'm going to make it very simple so that you can understand what it is. And I feel that this is the basic, and everyone needs to know this. So in our body, we have trillions of microbes, and they are all over our body, on our skin, on our, kind of ear canals and nostrils, everywhere. But majority of them, about 75 to 80% of these microbes, they live in our large intestine. So primarily our large intestine, or what we call it as gut, is their home. So imagine this as a little community inside you. And in that community, there are some good microbes and there are some bad microbes. They live together. As long as we have a balance between our good and bad microbes, everything seems to be perfect with your health. You are feeling great physically, mentally, emotionally. Everything is great. But when there is an imbalance, and that imbalance is defined as someone having a lower number of good microbes as compared to the large, or as compared to the bad microbes, or if you do not have enough diversity between your good microbes, that indicates that you have imbalance. Now, there are over 1,000 different species of microbes that we have in our gut microbiome. Now, larger the diversity you have a healthier gut. So it is really important for us to keep a balance of our gut microbiome, keep them happy and healthy by maintaining their health, having larger diversity, and always having high number of good microbes as compared to the bad microbes. Now, the question that was asked to me is, how do you even know that you are dealing with poor digestive health? So there are many signs and symptoms that person can experience. There are some digestive issues that you may experience, such as gas or bloating or constipation or just irregular bowel movements, loose bowel movements, or even diarrhea. Some people experience heartburn. But beyond digestive symptoms, person may even experience some non-digestive symptoms, and those could be headaches or migraine, or you have brain fog. You have extremely poor energy in spite of getting a good sleep for 7, 8, 9 hours. People have challenges losing weight or improving their muscle mass. Some people have frequent mood changes, anxiety, joint pain. So there is definitely a large spectrum of these symptoms, and you may change your symptoms over the period. You may experience some symptoms now, and then later you can develop with some other symptoms. But these are typical signs that indicate that you possibly are dealing with some imbalance in your gut microbiome.
I'm like muting it so my dogs don't get crazy in the background, and I'm taking really great notes here because I'm loving everything that you're sharing. And would you agree then, in addition to that list of all of those different kind of symptoms or whatever that you talked about, like food sensitivities? I know you touched on that with your husband, and I know in my journey, like that was one of kind of like my red flags too, because I was reacting to foods that I never did before. And it was so bizarre to me, like that all of a sudden I couldn't eat eggs, or, there were other things that I was just getting massively bloated from, or having almost like a histamine reaction. Yeah,
definitely. So over the period, if you are struggling with poor digestive health, it definitely could result in person developing food sensitivities. And these food sensitivities can be even for healthy foods. Like you may develop a sensitivity for chicken, avocados, which are actually considered to be healthier foods, but it's not just the processed food. That is again a misconception many people have, that I'm eating healthy, I'm still reacting. Yes, because you are having poor digestive health. There is an imbalance. Your gut lining might not be looking healthier. And that is the reason your immune system is overly active, and it is failing to identify between what is real food and what is an enemy. And it's reacting to everything that gets in.
Yeah, no, that's so good. Well, and I'm just curious because, I thought that was just so interesting when you were given the background of just all of the microbes and the thousands of different species. And, you talked about how, we want to have this larger diversity, right? And so I'm just curious, is there like a test that someone can take to see the balance of these things in their gut? I mean, do you know what I mean? If we're trying to have that healthy balance, or, to have the diversity, is that something that a person can get tested and checked for?
What I use in my practice is called stool analysis, comprehensive stool analysis. And it's a stool sample collection, and then it gets tested for various things. And one of those will tell us whether you are missing on any important, beneficial, healthy microbes, versus if you are having any infection, is there any pathogenic microbes that are in your gut microbiome. The test will also tell us about the different inflammatory factors in your body and tell us what kind of inflammation you have. The test will tell us about production of short chain fatty acids by your gut microbes, or it will even tell us about how your pancreatic enzymes are functioning, if your stomach is producing enough gastric juices. So I generally say that this test gives us a clear picture. It's like taking a candid picture of your entire gut microbiome.
Good. That's so good. All right. Thank you so much. So, we've talked about the different symptoms, and I think it's so, I love that you shared that it's not always going to show up in our stomach. It could be a headache, it could be joint pain, it could be low energy. So the symptoms can, become other things, which is so good for people to know. And then now that we've established that, like, what are some of the causes, that cause a person to have these gut issues?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So again, there are many causes, and they can range from any type of emotional trauma that you have had in your life, a major car accident or an ugly divorce, or even any type of GI infection that can be a contributing factor. Of course, nutrition plays a big role. So unhealthy diet that is high in processed foods, or the diet that is low in fiber, diet that is high in sugar, all these things can lead you to develop poor digestive health or imbalance in your gut microbiome. Excessive use of antibiotics. So definitely antibiotics has some role to play, but I honestly feel that in our country, antibiotics are used excessively, and excessive use of antibiotics is definitely going to be a major contributing factor for your gut imbalance or poor digestive health. And this is not just recently if you have taken antibiotic or not, but if you had to be on antibiotics frequently as a child, even that can have an impact to your gut microbiome in your adulthood. So antibiotics will cure the infection, but it will also sweep out all the good microbes from your gut microbiome. And that is definitely a major contributing factor to your unhealthy gut. Inadequate sleep, ongoing chronic stress, lack of physical activity, these are some of the other contributing factors or possible causes for your gut microbiome or poor gut microbiome.
Yeah, it's so interesting because and when I was a teacher back in the day, I just remember I would get sick a lot. I was burning the candle at both ends for kids and teaching and all of that. And my doctor was a huge prescriber of antibiotics. Like anytime I went to the doctor, he would just write another prescription. And again, I didn't know what I didn't know. So I always filled it. And of course they say, finish the whole thing. Like you can't make sure you do the whole 10 days or whatever. So I have been on a lot of antibiotics over my adult years, but it was a couple years ago. And it's just a case in point with exactly what you're talking about, was that at the peak of my health really taking a downward spiral, I had this constant kind of pressure, like sinus pressure. And I was put on a 10-day supply of antibiotics, and then that didn't clear it up. And he said, you know what, we're going to do a 21-day heavy dose of antibiotics. And then afterwards, he wanted to do like a little CT scan or whatever of my nasal passages. But that's literally like when all of my gut issues and my food sensitivity started. And so, again, it's like, why are we not told these things? Like, hey, well, and here's the thing. So, and I'll just add this one last thing and then I'll shut up. But, my dentist, so I now go to a holistic dentist in New York City. And what's so interesting is, he, when I had one of my dental surgeries, I had an infection. So he's like, you need to have the antibiotic. He said, but you must also take this. Like, I want to make sure that we're getting, some good bacteria back in there. Like, at least he's speaking that. And shame on these other doctors that that never told me that,
They never talk about it.
Yeah, never
Absolutely.
talk about that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, definitely. So there are many causes, but what I strongly feel is you need to identify the root cause of your gut problem, because everyone is different. Everyone's gut microbiome is different. So obviously the contributing factors for your imbalanced gut are going to be different. So identifying that root cause to your gut issues is extremely important, because once you identify what the problem is, what are the contributing factors and the root causes, only and only then you will be able to take right steps, right action steps to feel better, or kind of help get your gut microbiome in a balanced state.
Yeah. So just going back to your husband's story, so for him, was it stress? Like what did he reveal was kind of contributing to his?
It was stress, it was antibiotics, but again, he had not used antibiotics recently. But as a child he was given a lot of antibiotics. And the another cause, and I forgot to mention that earlier, but studies have shown that the way babies are born, C-section versus natural birth, even that is a determining factor in your gut health. And generally C-section babies, they have a high risk of developing gut issues and have disturbance in their gut microbiome as compared to the babies who are born naturally, because as these babies come out through the birth canal, they get a chance to have all the good microbes to their on their body, in their nostrils, in their mouth. They swallow these microbes. So generally those babies, they are going to have a better gut microbiome or a healthier gut microbiome. So for my husband, going back to his story, he was a C-section baby. So we were just kind of putting all the dots together, and definitely we were able to figure out what was his root causes. But I thought that stress at that point was really, really high on him.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting you say that, because I have 4 children. My first 2 were, vaginal deliveries. The last 2 were C-sections. And of my 4 kids, my 2 younger ones have massive gut issues. And to the point that my one son, he's very, been on a road, and he's been to, doctors and stuff with me, but he, is pretty plant-based. He eats a very strict diet now, just to really keep things under control, because he's figured that out. But my other daughter, not so much. But but it's very interesting. And my older 2 do not have gut issues at all, and they so that's very interesting. All right, awesome. And so so we've established just some great things here today, what could be some possible causes. So now let's move into, like, what are some things that people can do to help them restore their gut health? And I think you said this earlier, like, I think I heard you say something about the word patience, or it's a process. I mean, it doesn't necessarily happen overnight. So it does take time to heal. But what are some things that people can do?
Sure. And as you probably know, and even people who are currently struggling with gut issues, it can feel complex. And I always say that this is like a puzzle. So there are many different pieces to this puzzle, and you just cannot work on only one single piece, because you need to work with every piece of this puzzle. Try to put that piece of puzzle in the right spot so that you can start to feel better. So definitely I would first say that get to the root cause of the problem. Identifying the root cause is extremely important, because I strongly believe that only and only then you can take right action steps. Because when it comes to gut healing, you just cannot mimic someone else's success story. That was definitely good for that individual, but he or she is different than who you are. So you just cannot read something on Google or hear someone else's story and try to mimic that. You may find some relief, but definitely not long-term 100% relief. I would say that look at your diet, see what you're eating every day, maybe keep a food journal, but try to eat more plant-based foods. That doesn't mean that you need to become vegetarian, but definitely make your diet 75% plant-based. I always say that try to eat foods in its most natural form. Avoid processed food. Anything that comes in a package definitely is not the healthy option. The other thing I would say that stress is become a part of our life. Everyone has stress and the stress level changes. So basically we need to accept it. We need to identify that we have stress, and we all need to practice stress management techniques every single day. It's just like how you brush your teeth and take shower every day. It needs to be a part of your daily routine. There are many different things you can do to keep your stress under control: yoga, meditation, deep breathing, journaling, listening to the music that you love. You can do whatever works best for you, but that needs to be a part of your daily routine, because stress is a major contributing factor to your gut problems. I would also say that develop a good sleep schedule, listening to your body and respecting your circadian rhythm. And probably I feel that this might be a different topic altogether. I don't want to get into that, but basically follow a routine that will, kind of get you to the bed at certain time, wake up at certain time, and try to stay away from all electronic devices at least 40 minutes to 60 minutes before your bedtime, because that will help you get into relaxation and into your sleep very easily. I would say another thing that you can try to do is physical activity. That is very important. If you have a sedentary lifestyle, or if you even do not have a sedentary lifestyle, you think that you are up and running all day long, it's great, but still you need to find some time on your schedule to do some kind of physical activity. It's very important. I feel minimum 30 minutes, at least 5 days a week is what is recommended. I think you just kind of, listen to your body. Do not just ignore the symptoms, because all symptoms start small. They are infrequent at that time. Many times we ignore them. We don't even realize them. When that symptom goes away, you kind of forget about it. But please don't do that. Respect your body. Listen to your body, what your body is trying to tell you, so that you can take right action steps before even things get out of your control.
Yeah, no, that's so good. And well, and that's what, a huge part of the changes that I've made over the last couple of years. And I was telling you how I moved to Florida.
Yeah.
And honestly, part of that reason was for healing. I thought, I'm kind of a workaholic, and I know that like the beach is my one place that I can relax. And so I've started, I get up and I go every morning that I can and watch the sunrise, and I get my toes in the sand. And there's a lot of, research about grounding and just how that helps with stress, management and reducing inflammation. I also invested in an infrared sauna. And so that's kind of like my little peaceful time to just, like you said, meditate. And, so I've made some big changes with the stress reduction. And it's crazy how, we live in this very fast paced world. And, unfortunately our bodies just haven't evolved the way that technology has. And so we have to just be intentional, like you said, with working in some of these things. So so good. All right. So the last question, and then of course I always love to give, the guests just kind of the final word and just how people can get in touch with you. And I know you've got a special offer today that you want to share with our listeners, but your last question is, what about probiotics? So I know that's a buzzword. It's a buzz supplement, that a lot of people hear about. Is that a good option for gut health? What are your views on probiotics?
Okay, so definitely, and this is a question I get pretty much every single day from my clients. Should I be taking probiotics? Or even people say, but I'm taking probiotics, I'm still struggling with gut issues. So probiotics are definitely good, and this can be a part of your gut healthy regimen. However, also want to let you know that probiotics is not the only thing. This is not a magic pill that will end your digestive struggle. It will not, probiotics alone will not make your gut healthy. This is just one element of this puzzle. So probiotics are important, but before even you get into probiotics, you want to first identify the root cause. You want to first fix the problems that you're dealing with. And I strongly feel, and even that's what I practice, that I introduce probiotics into my clients' regimen more towards the end of the process, where they have they have got rid of all their symptoms. They have started to feel better. The probiotics come into picture more in the nurturing phase of their gut healing. So those are important. Another thing, what I would like to say, that it is important for you to change your probiotics every few weeks, or at least every 3 months or so, because probiotic does not come with all different good strains in one single bottle or in that each capsule. So there are few strains, but not all. And that's why it is important that you rotate the probiotics, invest in good quality of probiotics. I know there are a lot of out there, but really by doing some research or taking help from your functional medicine doctors or dietitians or naturopaths, just buy some good quality probiotics. And along with probiotics, many people forget that they also need to take prebiotics. So I'm going to quickly describe you the difference between two. I'm not sure if many people know about it. Probiotics are the live strains of healthy, good microbes that you put in your body, either through foods or in the supplement form. So the food sources for probiotics are kefir or kimchi or kombucha or sauerkraut, fermented vegetables. Those are some of the good sources of probiotics. Now, I always say that you're putting probiotics, which is the live bacteria, live microbes in your body. Now, these microbes need food to survive. They need food, and that food is the prebiotic foods. So prebiotic foods are typically the foods that are plant-based, that are high in fiber, because these microbes in your gut, they love to chew on fiber. That's their food. So equally, prebiotics are important. Some of the good examples of prebiotics are apples, oatmeal, artichokes, jicama, Brussels sprouts, broccoli. Those are some good sources of prebiotic food. So prebiotics are equally important, and I tell my clients to get minimum 2 servings of prebiotic foods every day. If you can do more, it's even better. But remember that just taking probiotics is not a solution. You need other things. You need to consider other aspects of gut healing elements. And most importantly, you need to be on prebiotics. You want to make sure that your diet is full of prebiotic foods.
Oh, that's so good. And I'm just curious too, and I'm kind of adding in a question real quick, but do you also recommend to your clients to eat organic as much as possible? Because I know there's a lot, of just harmful toxins and chemicals that are on our food. So even if you're telling them, hey, 75% plant-based, but if they're eating stuff that's sprayed with a bunch of harmful toxins and chemicals, that can disrupt their gut health too, correct?
Absolutely. And I definitely encourage them to eat more organic, or as much organic as possible. I understand that these foods are typically expensive. So when it comes to your budget, I would say that try to do as much as you can. There is a list of Dirty Dozens and Clean 15 from the website ewg.org. And you can visit that website, download that copy. It's a free copy. Anybody can download. And they have a list of foods that you definitely want to buy organic. And then they have another list of foods that are nice to have organic. So if any of those foods are on sale, you may probably want to buy it at that point. Or things like berries, if they are on sale, I would say buy them in bulk and then wash them and freeze them so that you can use them for few months once they are out of season. But anytime you can use organic fresh produce, it's absolutely great, and your body will love it. It will not expose you to other chemicals, pesticides, herbicides, which can cause your inflammation. There's an interesting study I read a few weeks back, and it showed that when person changes their fresh produce from non-organic to organic within 1 week, about 75 to 80% of the toxic load in his or her body gets reduced.
That is significant. Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and if you can grow your own, that's even better. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Help,
Yeah.
Save some costs with the organic. So now that's awesome. Well, thank you so much. This has been absolutely amazing. And, I always know that I ask the questions to be submitted beforehand, but I know as we talk and you share that sometimes some things come up in your head and in your heart. They're like, oh, I want to make sure I say this. And so I just really love to give you the opportunity to just kind of have any closing thoughts, closing remarks for the guests. And then I know you have something special too that you'd like to share. That's a great thing for the listeners today. So please share about that as well.
Absolutely. So I would like to say that our gut health is extremely important, because our gut health is connected with many different systems and organs in our body. Gut health is the seat for many different medical conditions that a person may develop if gut health is not healthy, or if you are struggling with poor gut health. So definitely take care of your gut, respect your gut microbiome. If your gut microbiome is happy, then you are happy. So just listen to your body. As I said before, get to the root cause of the problem, and you can always reach out for help if you can't figure this out, because I understand that this is overwhelming. It's a lot of information, but there are professionals out there, dietitians, functional medicine doctors, naturopaths. You can definitely get help from a healthcare professional, which will, help you move to the right path of your healing. On that same note, if you are struggling with gut issues, and if you are confused on how to start your gut healing journey, where to start, or if you're already doing few things, but you're not sure whether they are working for you or not working for you, I have a free guide that you can download, and I'm sure Dawn can share the link in her notes, but you can visit my website, rightnutritionworks.com, to learn more about the services and to download my free guide. It's rightnutritionworks.com/fix your gut free guide. So again, rightnutritionworks.com/fix your gut free guide. And you can certainly download that. I'm sure that will help you jumpstart your healing journey.
I'm pulling it up right now too. I love it. Yes. And I know I looked at it before the show too. And guys, she just has an amazing website. And again, just thank you so much. And I love the name of it too, Right Nutrition. Because again, I mean, it makes such a difference. And, you even said this at the beginning of the show that, food is, medicine. And, so important. Well, I totally, truly appreciate just your time today, your wisdom, and just your passion for just helping other people live their best life. And, again, I just think that there's a real surge in just gut issues. And I think more than ever, people need to just have these kind of resources available to them. And you have a personal story of your own husband, who went to the doctors and was told nothing was wrong with him, but yet there was something. And through some digging and research, you were able to help heal him. And so guys, if that is you and you're struggling and you're going to the doctors and they're telling you everything looks fine, your body, and maybe it's a sign that you need to go to, her website and, reach out to her and see if she can't help you. So again, thank you so much for being on here today.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Dawn. Thank you for having me here.
You are so welcome. And as always, you guys, as you're listening to this show today, I hope you took some good notes. I forgot to remind you at the beginning, but if you're driving, I hope you listen to this again, write down some notes. I've got some great notes, some things here that I want to, be intentional about doing a better job when it comes to my gut health. And one of them is she touched on just the rotation of probiotics. That's not the first time I've heard that. So, but again, if you have people in your heart that are struggling, please share this podcast with them. You can listen to it on Apple Podcast or Spotify, or you can watch it on YouTube. But just, be a person that helps be a light out there and helps other people get some answers. So thank you as always for listening to the show, and I can't wait to see you guys next week. And thank you again to our very special guest today. It has been such a privilege and an honor. All right, take care, friends.